think I'm on. Hello, everybody. How are we doing? Set my timer. So the one thing I'm not going to say is this is going to be a very short stream. It's going to be roughly about an hour. And we're off. We're off at the races. Hello, peeps. Hi, guys. Thanks for jumping on. And if anyone who's just come on this was on the last stream where there was an alarm, someone's house alarm was just profusely going off. The neighbour pulled me up the other day. He was responsible for it, and he apologised. Not because of the stream, just because I think he's getting a few dirty looks off the neighbourhood as he's walking round. So that's that. So hello, guys. How we doing? We all well? Yes, it is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. We kind of know. I wonder where that man's evil soul and spirit is at this time now. You know? If reincarnation is a real thing, what's that son of a gun gonna reincarnate into? What does he deserve to be? As far as I'm aware, reincarnation is all about learning lessons within a life, and then if supposedly reincarnation is true, the next life is supposed to learn the lesson of the one you didn't learn previously, or something along them lines. So what does he deserve to be? Hello, guys. Yeah, a cockroach. Jeez, that's actually demonizing cockroaches. I'm sure there's decent cockroaches that wouldn't, This is it. When you're talking ultimate evil, dark spirit, what can you actually put up there that he should be without demonizing what you're actually putting up there? Because there's not too many things. It's the darkest of dark souls, isn't it? It's like he's took a walk with Satan or something. If there is such a thing? But thank you for jumping on. Thanks a lot for jumping on. Hellraiser, yeah, and just perpetually living this torment of hell that just repeats itself like Groundhog Day. Let's face it, there's a bit of a splitting camp, isn't there? There's an element of everyone who's got an eye for an eye, and always say, what you should do with paedophiles. And if I had the chance, if I run the country, and he's done it. He's took his own life. The problem being is the wealth of knowledge, and the fact that he's took the easy route, and it's the equivalent of he's been apprehended on the 7th floor, and rather than take the consequences, he just jumped off the balcony. Yes, indeed, mate. Took a lot of secrets too. You're quite right. Well, how far does it go? This is it. These are the secrets that could have been unlocked. He was a key player, wasn't he? So key players hold the keys. I'm sure he would have had a get out plan in terms of if it comes on top for him. He's got a list with names. I'm sure they all are, because you've got to be paranoid in that business, So yeah, just imagine what his notebook was like of the who's, the movers and shakers, as it were. Sick, innit? Sick. So all that's gone, essentially, unless it's now in the hands of someone else that can then exploit or blackmail I guess we'll see, won't we? Is this part of the Clinton body count, or is it more than just the Clinton body count? Are you kind of putting Clinton up there as one of the key players, major players, or is she just a front person like anything else? Who he was procuring kids for? The highest of the high. I mean, are you going to really put Hillary Clinton on that kind of pedestal, really? I don't know. Yeah. Oh, Graham. I know that would be the ultimate conspiracy, wouldn't it? He's been found in the jungles in Guatemala, something like that. But yeah, I think it's safe to say. It, who knows? I mean, a plane can disappear, can't it, with all the modern technology? And they can blag you that there's nothing to look at here. So when you're living in them realms and, you know, silly situations that can happen, but then become plausible, nothing's off the table, is it? Well, I'm not going to go that far, helmet here. I can't say that. Whatever, whether he is or not, I don't believe. I think he actually probably is, but who knows? You know, they still say Elvis is around, don't they? So who bloody knows? The bottom line is either way, whether he is or he isn't, it's what he represented and what he's took. You know, the guy, the fact that he was in that position, it represented a bit of hope that the dark, open secret about this kind of activity has been highlighted and was going to be exposed for what it was and be duly punished, but which meant getting more names, not just taking out the man that's been burnt, so to speak. And we know that. And that's the frustrating thing, isn't it? Frustrating thing. Yeah, too many loose ends. I was watching a link before that Great Brit sent to me. Thanks, Great Brit, and thanks for jumping on, mate. And it was Tim Pool, and I've seen some of his stuff. He's very good at what he does. He's very diligent. Uh, he was fuming. He was fuming because he wanted to be as objective as he possibly could, but at the same time, he can't deny the conspiracy that's round the corner, and which, because of the way they've allowed him to die, or seemingly allowed him to die by proxy of neglect. You know what I mean? He shouldn't be in that situation where he can hang himself. So you can argue as to whether that was on purpose or not. But the fact that they're that stupid to let him do it, it opens just to the big conspiracy about it all. And he actively said on numerous occasions that he can't go near conspiracies because he needs facts. But the bottom line is, with this case, he knew from the word go he wasn't going to come out alive. But he wasn't fully sure whether he decided to take his own life or whether there was more to it. But then, as he broke it down himself, he answered his own question. You do steer more towards the conspiratorial edge with this, rather than, oh, I think he managed just to get enough of an instrument in order to hang himself. And I think he'd done it totally on his own. And I think no one could have prevented it. And it's just one of them things. It's a lesson we'll learn from. We know that, really. Apparently this is a man that had a previous suicide attempt. I do believe he was on suicide watch, then taken off suicide watch. Now, is that bit of information telling? You know, is it the fact that if they've released him off it, that means that the restrictions that he would have had on him were taken off, which means that then that if the worst was to happen, then it's not so much a conspiracy because he wasn't on suicide watch anyway. Even though to the normal rational person, because of what the man's done, what he represents, and the fact that the last thing you want to do is present this dickhead with an opportunity, or let any other dickhead present an opportunity to them to cyanide pill him. That's the last thing, because like a YouTuber that I was watching, James Boomaz, is it Boomaz? He's fuming also, but he's fuming that justice, the fact that you've allowed this opportunity and you've killed the right of any kind of judiciary taking place, which is the biggest travesty, really, when you could have got more names out of this. Plenty of people will inevitably now crawl back into the shadows and probably some form of relief now. And that's really the sickest thing. A lot of elites signed a big, sigh of relief. You're right, mate. It is one of them occasions, isn't it? And I'm not even going on conspiracy, because no matter what way you kind of steer this, it resulted in the same thing. No further action in it. This is literally NFA. And in terms of what he could have provided, the people, the movers and shakers, which could have opened it right up, and think people were salivating, ready and waiting. Pics of him on a gurney, maybe, you know what, Steve? I can't. I'm not going to jump to the conspiracy that he's not dead. Anything is possible, particularly when we don't know jack shit, and particularly when you just have to try and soak up the narrative that's being thrown out. And you're talking about a group of people that is protecting here, that some of the biggest movers and shakers in the world. They've got the influences on media, they've got their influences in all different areas. So it's not hard, and it's not been hard, hence why we're here today, for the narrative to be influenced, for people to actually evade justice through blogs like this. But to say, I've got no reason to suggest he's not dead. I can't rule it out, however, but to just jump to that conclusion now, that would feed into the you're all full of conspiracies. So you have got to keep yourself somewhat level in your way of thinking, but you can't rule anything out. He might be on his own fucking plane now onto Lolita Island to have one last swing before he jumps on his fucking submarine and ends on his way to Guatemala. Who knows? Who fucking knows? Either way, who loses out? Humanity. Humanity. He might as well be spiritually and mentally. He's already fucking hung, innit? Plastic surgery and the tattoo too. Well, you've got to look at it another way. I mean, if he is protecting people, they say, don't they, loose lips sink the ship, yeah? And the last thing you want is more people knowing your secret. Um, and what is the other saying? Only two people can keep a secret, but one of them's dead. So it does become like that. I mean, to think that he's had the ultimate buy off to buy himself into this new fucking idyllic island, totally out the way of the outside world, when it's probably far easier to cyanide pill the bitch. There's that element. I don't know. Who knows that of what information he had, but these guys, don't forget the hold they've got, and don't forget what they can achieve. So I don't know whether they're prepared to do deals like that. If in reality, if the narrative is true that all he was is a procurer of children for the elite, I'm sure he was rich enough in his own right doing what he'd done, but essentially he was kind of providing money, to it's the people too that really we're never gonna, or we may not know just yet. He was working for us. Who knows? I don't freaking know. Don't know. I mean, he is Jewish, isn't he? But oh God, no, no. Oh, he was sick. No, the people that dealt with him was sick. I know that there's a lot of survivors that would have wanted justice more than we're as we, when I say we, the outside world are even entitled to have. They're not going to get that now. So what does it all mean for them? Was it worth it? Are they back to square one? Do they now have to look at this as a symbol, as if to say, keep your mouth shut? Um, you know, it happens all the time, doesn't it? Like not cryptic messages, but the message is loud and clear. If you get burnt, the chances are, you know, you're gonna be you're gonna be pushing up daisies, as they say. Well, it's whether you're right about the Bin Laden thing, mate. I think if that was to believe, there's evidence to suggest he was gone before, as in died before the actual event, apparently. But yeah, so what I've got to mention is because this is kind of just stuck up on the screen. I did what I kind of mentioned this. Thank you very much to jump on. We'll get back to the Epstein in one sec. I just wanted to quickly talk about something I was unable to go to because I was away at the time and I was pretty gutted. And I'm hopefully going to catch up with Billy this coming Tuesday. So I will be doing a bigger video. So I'm not going to lay into this too much, but other than the one thing that was the big news that was coming up with PAG is that they were on course to open a new hub, as Billy would call it. Now this hub was going to be in Accrington. It was going to be running along the same kind of ideals, but as its own separate entity, as it were, in terms of financing itself, as the PAG UK in Rochdale. And they successfully opened it. Everything's gone to plan. I've not seen any footage of it, so I do feel somewhat at a disadvantage. But I'm hopefully going to catch up with Billy, and I'm going to get Billy to literally do a running commentary of all things that I want to know. How many people were there? What does it mean to the people of Rochdale and the people of Accrington? And this is obviously a local newspaper. This is Lancashire that has covered the story, which is brilliant as well. So it shows that it's happening, guys. If you work on the mentality, the field of dreams mentality, build it and they will come. This is certainly starting to come reality for PAG UK. It started with an initial idea. That initial idea took blood, sweat, bloody toil, lots of cash, lots of help, lots of voluntary help, lots of financial help, and lots of people giving up the time for nothing and donating all manner of different things, whether it be from paint to the flooring, from flooring to little bits of office furniture, to computers, to fish tanks, to all manner of different skills, which has meant the community's come together because they can all see that the council's neglecting him, no one's talking about him. And to make it even worse, the police and the councils do nothing more than keep calling them vigilantes all the time. They don't want to acknowledge it. They won't even utter the name PAG UK, Parents Against Grooming. When they get interviewed, they never mention their name. That is how disrespectful and disingenuous all this is, really. And that's the thing that kind of annoys me, because it's so unfair when you look that there's real life survivors here, and now that Billy's actually set this up, the survivors are coming out. They're coming out talking to Billy, and they're going on record. So it's a question of watch this space, because there will be more and more news that will start to come out from this dossier that Billy is now gathering. You just cannot celebrate what a man like Billy is doing. Right. So it's in Warner Street, Accrington, and John Cartwright, which I think is more known as JC. And I think his missus, JC's missus, helps a lot as well. So I'm hoping at some point to go down to Accrington, speak to John, speak to his missus, speak to anyone else who's involved with what's going down there in Accrington, so they can explain what the need is for this in Accrington. Because don't forget, these guys are not going to open this up if there's not a reason to. So the fact that they're there says it all. So I'd like to have a chat with them about that, about their desires, their passions, what they've been doing previous to this. What do you reckon their goals will be for what they're going on? And obviously what they feel about Rochdale in general, and up and down. What other initiatives have they got in mind? What would they like to see happen? Just a whole manner of different questions I'd love to ask these guys, because I've never met them personally. Phil, have you ever thought about joining the pedo hunters? Well, the pedo hunters, is that an initial group known as the pedo hunters, or is that your title for a group? I don't know. In terms of, all I can say is that I have spoke to Dean and Billy, and it's a question of probably more my fault than anything else, just because I haven't got the time to literally just align random days to things. I have to literally be mindful, plan it with my work, my family, and then with Billy. And then if all them key factors are in place, things tend to happen. But any one of them can just nose up any idea I've got. So with the next thing that I wanted to do with Dean from PAG and with Billy was to attend them on a parent patrol, just to show from their angle that they're nothing to do with vigilantes. What they're doing is vigilant, not vigilante. It's all political smears that these sleazy gits just manage to do on the working class, on what they regard as beneath them. It's the same mentality. It's an us and them mentality. They're protecting the boys' club, and they're seeing people like Pag as inefficient, inarticulate, more like yobs, and we don't need to worry about these guys. So there's a level of arrogance as well in it. Yeah, Martin. So we're definitely going to make that happen. I'm going to speak to Billy on Tuesday, and we'll definitely get a date. He actually did say going down on the Tuesday as well, but same again, only because I don't know how long I'm going to be down there, as to whether I can go down there in the working hours that the Accrington shop is going to be open. So watch this space, because it definitely will happen. So right, that is basically that story. So I've kind of spoke to that. The one thing I will say, hold on, it did have the opening times, if I've not passed it already. So if you are in the area in Accrington, please support these guys. Yeah, PAG UK in Accrington. And it appears that I cannot get where the right. So in the interview, I'll make sure they give all the necessary details. Right, so back to this sick son of a bitch, yeah? Epstein. Did he take a cyanide pill, or was he taken out? But that's we'll never know But the bottom line is, there's every chance he could have. There's every chance he. It depends how you want to look at it, really, doesn't it? Um, it's very convenient for him to have been pushed towards doing the right thing, which is ending his life, and then for the elites to then facilitate the ease for him to do it. But equally, he could have just been totally had nothing to do with it and could have got just bumped off. It could have been that another inmate decided he wanted a piece of him, totally unrelated to it all. This is the thing, because such an extraordinary case has presented itself, the extraordinary or unordinary way that this guy was protected, or it would seem not protected, considering, like I say, this chap, where is it? This man, he's been covering this quite extensively. Jason Burmers, and he's pissed. He's absolutely fuming. He's fuming because they've allowed the rope to slip out of their hands. And it's not definitive enough to kind of say it was a conspiracy. And it's not definitive enough to say, well, it could have been an accident. It leaves you in that grey area. And this is the grey area that Tim Pool was so fucked off about, because he likes to have all the answers neatly stacked in boxes. I'm surmising, reading into the way he was talking, Yeah, Trump must be pissed. You know, it's everyone. Everyone is. The wealth of knowledge. Is it all? Well, this is the thing that we've got to realize as well. Will the truth never come out? Because will you always be given the illusion that you will get the truth? Even if the stifling for that truth, I mean, don't forget how hard it must have been to pin down this Epstein in the first place. But then they know that some form of justice has got to be seen to prevail. So even if they do that kind of at a drip rate, then are they then only going to allow it to go so far, and something's going to happen anyway? So are we, in reality, are we just better thinking that in order to show this, what have you got to do? The Qs, all the other high profile people, YouTubers that have got sensitive information that they keep releasing, that this man and that man, but to the wider public, what justice is actually served, and it's kind of fuck all, is it? There's always the same thing. No justice is ever served, and this represented it, because not only was it acknowledgement that there was a thing called sex trafficking that did run through celebrityism as well as the highest echelons and possibly the monarchies around the world, which, same again, you went there 5 years ago, even though Jimmy Savile, all that shit still in your face, and other cases come in your face, people, fucking hell, that was a wrong choice of words, but people don't want to make that connection, do they? They still don't want to see it, because one, there's no smoking gun, and two, it's going to be a perception bender. It's going to be that bender that is like, my world perception has just been shattered into a million pieces, because the establishment in which my fathers, my forefathers have put their faith into, bought into, and facilitated in, and allowed their siblings and other siblings around them to literally work with this system has been a whole fundamental lie, and is doing nothing but actually working against you. Invisible shackles, regardless of your colour, regardless of your ethnicity, regardless of your religion, regardless of your age, which is obviously why we're here. And a lot of people don't want to address that. They don't want to know. They do not want to know. And this case shown to people that you're going to digest it. This ain't going to be hid because this is all over the media. You've got a billionaire who's got his own plane, linked with the dirtiest, most corrupt politicians and high rankers and high rollers in the elite. He's got an island that's got all kinds of nefarious shit going on it that has been documented and is now being put down and facing charges of sex trafficking. And then with the personal links he had to the British monarchy, which had to be kept quiet, everything kind of went quiet, didn't it? You know? So I think the symbolism of that arrest and that acknowledgement that this really is going on, this is not just one individual who's a dirty bastard who works at BBC, who's a dirty bastard who works at ITV, who's a dirty bastard who's a rock star. No, this kind of proves a wider circle, a collaborative, a collective working together. And that's what he's pissed about because of the gravity. You know, this guy often says it's one of the biggest travesties, it's one of the biggest cases in America, you could argue, that in his lifetime, you know. Well, time's up, Martin. You're quite right in terms of consciousness. It's just the ability to actually truly uncover the full extent of this problem. That's really probably a big factor that we want to think about instead of really getting caught up in the did he do this, did he do that, is he on this desert island here? They're little minutiae facts now. We've got to really think about in order to actually get something like this all the way to a conclusion. It thoroughly means that you've got to have a clean passage all the way through, as in a non-corrupt passage. And this just ultimately shows that with all the different mechanisms, it starts at the very beginning in terms of the news outlet, in terms of the police, in terms of in what we would regard the CPS, then the judiciary, and then the penal system moving through that. There's too many levels where it's obviously got at. It's certainly got at. And if you don't keep an eye on all that, particularly on such a high ranking case, I mean, I'm not being funny. This guy should have been treated like fucking, what's he called in that film? Oh, not Hellraiser. What is he has the mask on his face and he eats fucking people. You know what I mean? Like literally just tied to a metal brace that just wheels up and down. And Fred West. Hannibal, thank you. I had a mind fart there. Hannibal Lecter, you know what I mean? He should be like David Blaine, you know, when he hung in a cage high above London for so many fucking days. Like that's the normal thing to do, isn't it? But he should be that visible. He should have laser guided fucking weapons on him from every conceivable angle. And any breach, even if someone farts in the vicinity, you shoot him. That should be the level of security. You can't even fart near the man. Well, look, you know what I mean? But this is who we're dealing with. You're dealing with gangsters, aren't you? You're dealing with gangsters that have got the hands firmly where they need to be. They've got the reins of power, they've got the money, they've got the influence, and they'll buy fucking anybody. Oh, it's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy how everyone, even like I said at the beginning, you can get some solace in the fact, well, at least the bitch ass is dead. But then it leaves you empty once you think about it for more than 20 seconds after that. You know what I mean? Look at the lifestyle he would have led before, knowing that the guy was a sick fuck. Imagine how many independent souls that guy's fucking ruined. Imagine. And then for him just to do the cyanide pill trick, the quick little get out, oh, all this shit's getting on top and getting out of here. Or someone decided to shut him up. Whatever. Because I'm going to be totally in the middle here. I'm not going to go conspiratorial in a sense that he could have. But either way, it's detrimental to us. And that's what I'm more worried about. In terms of the body and how it was brought out and how valid that footage is, we don't know. I mean, this guy here who we've got on camera, Jason Burners, he's talking about some other inmates come forward and said, there's no way you could kill yourself in there. But I think this guy was assuming he was on suicide watch, and I'm not sure he was on suicide watch, but this is it. This is the Tim Pool thing that'll really, you can imagine Tim Pool not having a good night's sleep for a few nights because he needs to put it in boxes. This is the world of any conspiracy where you don't get the fullest questions answered. All the real conspiracy does is give you more questions. It really does, and it pisses you off. And you want to make your mind up, you want to fulfill your conformity bias, but in reality, unless it gives you full blown answers, you can read between the lines and understand that it possibly can be happening, but you can't just nail your maths straight away to that. I can't anyway. I try not to, but we all fall into the trap sometime, don't we? Hillary had him killed. Maybe, but this is the same again as I said before. Um, is Hillary, are we putting up Hillary as a big player here? Because I think on the biggest, if it was a pissing contest, I don't think she'd be pissing the furthest by any means. Because the people that back her, straight away, she's a little guy in it all. So who knows how many different individuals. I think doing the Hillary thing is probably doing a lot of other elites a favour because you're taking the heat off them to a degree, but I might be wrong. Prince Andrew, yeah, well, a lot of them will be saying now, won't they? That's what I mean. A lot of people will be saying because they knew it would have been coming their way through 60s. Don't forget, you've got, with all this, it's always the way in it. First thing you should think of with any one guy is 6 degrees of separation. The 6 people that he knows, yeah? And then with each of them 6, try doing another 6 degrees of separation. And then that's all you have to do. And imagine how many people then that uncovers that in high probability know something. It's a head fuck. It's a head fuck. Imagine. Epstein is not dead. Well, that's good. He's going to be the new Elvis Presley, isn't he? They're going to fake his body on TV somehow. I don't know. I've not looked on TV to see if they've shown any pictures of him or anything like that. Maybe they will. Maybe. Who knows whether it's another narrative changer. that we've whisked him off to some bloody Caribbean island to live in some, I don't know, underwater facility. Remember that was the one of the conspiracies for the missing plane. Was it Cape Verde? There was a bit of a conspiracy. Who knows about that plane? You know what I mean? This is why one of the reasons why I enjoy doing this. Because I think if anyone looks at one of my initial statements to this channel when I opened it up, it's to try and find the point of true existence, really. Will you ever get there in your life? No. You can only pick up information as you go. But I love this channel, and I love talking with other people that at least want to look at other things. But same again, the frustrating part is that it tends to, instead of answer questions, give you more kind of questions that you've got to ask, which pisses you off when you just want to tick the boxes. But then it broadens your kind of way of thinking, doesn't it? It is higher frequency, mate, and even when you've got all that knowledge, you still don't fully know what to do with it. You don't know what your place is with it, and it can fuck a lot of people up, can send you to dark places yourself. It can radicalize you if you're not careful, utilizing information. Echo chambers is the perfect example of that. Echo chambers on all sides, radicalization pots. In reality, if you're not wary of it yourself as an independent, critically thinking individual, you've got to learn when to pull away from that. It's just like junk food. You take too much of it, you'll end up pretty obese before you know it. If 9/11 can be hidden, this can. Well, many questions with that, my friend. You're quite right. So this is, it's not surprising. It is not surprising that we're here talking about this. It's a question of, for me now, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the falling at the last hurdle, really. I want to see more. I want to see more on a global level, that people are being exposed. I want to see more that worldwide establishments are really doing the best to not just root out low-level paedophilia in order to satisfy the sheep, but I want them to go all the way through the ranks and clean it out at the top, highest levels as well. Even if it means dragging the odd prince out or two. If that's what it takes, that is what it takes. Public confidence needs to be restored, in my opinion. And like I say, going back to the beginning, the fact that if he is dead, if he isn't dead, he's supposedly out of the picture. For all intents and purposes, he might as well be. His soul is certainly dead. But it offers no solace at the end of it. There's that bitterness that comes after the sweet. It is, mate, and it's just wrong, isn't it? So the world, we need it, because I'm sick of being disgusted about it, right? I'm sick of thinking that this is probably one of the most heinous crimes that you could do. But yet, when you really look at the mass problem and who possibly the players could be, looking at the establishment that are not really dealing with the problem in any way, you could argue they're doing more to facilitate it than actually to stop it. And that goes right through the police system, to the CPS, to the judiciary, even down to the media for not having the bollocks to report on it. And the contemplation of that is understandable, why people bury their head in the sand, in it, Yeah, spreading the love and spreading just awareness, in it. Pedos in all religions, Stanley, without a doubt, just the darkest elements that would actually want to do that to a living being if it's not consensual, age appropriate. You know, it's knowing what you're doing, knowing that you're an adult and you're about to literally abuse mentally, physically, abuse another individual. And it's the realization that these people, these high elites, this 1%, these technocrats, these elevated thinkers that put themselves on the highest pedestal, but yet are guilty of the most sickest, heinous crimes that you could argue is double-fold with the fact that they are so highly intelligent. The sinister thing is that they've used that intelligence against the population of people to run the biggest scam going over people, which makes it even more sick, just fulfills their ego and the narcissism. And that is the sickest thing, how someone who's got that much money, who's got that much brains, wants to use it against populations rather than for it, and to create their own little sex parties. It is fucking sick, you know what I mean? I'm all up for a piss up with my mates for winning the lottery. I'm telling you. But what these guys are doing, and then when you look at Michael Barrymore, all the other celebrities, what's all done behind closed doors, it's just wrong, innit? And that's what's really hard to get your head round, how the establishment just don't seem to really be covering it that well and act as if they really want to do it. I mean, why do you not get more public stings? Totally exposed. I know we live in the world of litigation, but if it is done, it's done in hush hush. If you're going to grab someone out, throw them under the jail, in it really good PR if you do parade him all over. Okay, you might have to put his family in witness protection programs or whatever, whether the family knew about it or not. I mean, don't forget, if someone's doing this, you could argue that some family members are probably victims of abuse as well. I don't know. You can't all blame them all. You've got to be so balanced with this. It does your head in, doesn't it? Because you do want to get your pitchfork out because it's such a heinous crime. You think, fuck that. Why should I even give it the brain power of giving these people a break? You know what I mean? They've all been living a nice life, knowing it's all been going on. And through 6 degrees of separation, even if they partied to it, they still knew about it. So it's a bittersweet moment. Yeah, who knows, Martin, what was going on? I mean, when you've got someone that's sick and that narcissistic, that they're gonna just treat people like that anyway, strangers. What are they like with their own family members? When they've got all the money in the world, they've got all the power in the world, they're surrounded by yes people. So imagine being born into this family that we, for all intents and purposes, we look up to them and we see a young sibling growing up within that environment and just think, you lucky bastard. I would love to have everything I ever wanted from the moment I kind of woke up, got born, anything. Living on with the best, in the best houses, driving the best cars, going to the best holiday destinations, fucking having jolly times on the best yachts, meeting the most highest individuals in society. That's nice, isn't it? But then think of all the murky shit that goes on, and I think to myself, would I want to? You can keep your money. I would rather live just on my knees like Oliver Twist than live with that. Live with that. You know what I mean? That is literally blood money, dirty money. It is material. It is materialistic. Some people sell out to it. You know, I think Michael Jackson, probably a contentious name to bring up, but he done a good tune called Money. When you listen to the lyrics, all the things that people are prepared to do for it, they'll do whatever for it. So that's what it all boils down to, innit? You know, the trappings. It is an artificial construct, and it makes people act in all types of ways. People will sell people out. People will sell cities, towns, countries out. Sell the fucking world out for money. And the fact that we're convinced that we need it that much that we actually contemplate selling out our individual or our next door neighbour in order to get on that higher financial level. It is. It's like a fucking. There's been one big rope ladder presented, and we're all trying to climb up it as quickly as possible. You know, like you've got that cheese rolling exercise that they do every year in a certain city down south, where they roll a fucking big lump of cheese down a hill and everyone runs at it like a fucking nutter, which you'd think health and safety would have shut that down a long time ago. But it's like that, and it all aspiring to be the one to get to it because, hey, you open up a magazine, hey, you turn the telly on, it's telling you that's what you've got to aspire to. You've got to aspire to a lot of the good things, rich things, because once you've got that, you've got that lifestyle. And once you've got that lifestyle, before you know it, it's gated communities, security, highest echelons, moving and shaking, pimping out fucking girls all over the place, jet airplanes that are whisking fucking private people all over, buying off bloody papers, you know, buying off the police, buying off the judiciary. You think, keep your fucking money. Keep your money. Is that it? Is that what we're, or do you just get enough to buy your nice little house and stay out of the way? You know what I mean? And the year's secrecy, it's repugnant to quote a very famous president, and look what happened to him. You know what I mean? I like rolling cheese. I was having a conversation with, I was at two parties over the weekend. My daughter's 18th, and the following day it was another family member's like home barbecue party. And there was a friend of my sister-in-law's there that I was talking to, and I'd met him before, very funny individual, and he's always very upbeat, very intelligent geezer, but a geezer that wants to live with his head in the sand. But head in the sand, knowing exactly that's what he's doing. He's not triggering, he's not freaking out. He just wants to live a very nice life, and everything he does. Thank you very much, Miss Chai. Yeah, she had a brilliant one. It was a total surprise for her. She didn't see the party coming as well, so it all worked out well. But I spoke to him, and he just wants to have a good time. He wants to have fun. He don't want to contemplate the negative, nefarious stuff because, in his words, it will never, ever, ever change. Now, I have real problem. As much as I respect and love people, when people do say that to me, I honestly, I want to verbally slap them because I hear it from so many fucking people that even if you can make that fly in your head, you know that all I'm thinking, you're a fucking cop out. You're a cop out that just wants to live in this matrix eating the steak. That's what you want to do. You don't want to digest it. It's not actually steak you're eating. It's a pile of fucking vile shite. But it's substance, but it's not the steak that you thought you were eating. And it is cognitive dissonance, Miss Chan, you're right. And when you see it from people that have got intelligence, They've got jobs, higher positions than me. It's that blinkered attitude. If I don't act that it's there around me, if it's not happening to my family members, then I won't really dwell on it because I can't really change anything. If we all had that attitude, the Epsteins actually wouldn't be in prison now, would they? The Epsteins wouldn't have actually killed himself right now because he'd still be on his plane onto another fucking destination. It would be running that right. So, although I get why, because who wants to sit here talking for an hour about this sick shit? Who wants to be on a stream commenting on videos about this? But we're only doing this because ultimately we all know that the world is got problems and there's more to the story. So there's nothing wrong. And for me, this is only what you were taught to do as you were a youngster. Use your mind always as you grow in life. Always learn. Gather information. You never stop, do you? You know, people often say that a child is like a sponge. It grabs in. I've not stopped doing that. I still stick with my own theories and my philosophies, but with every experience, it's still you're still absorbing, and then that evolves into an idea, into another way of thinking. You know, every 10 years you might have a mental kind of flip that literally is like a fucking cog that just goes boom. Now you're here, boom. Now you're here. Some people it may never do it. But to not even try and just to settle for the trinkets in life, settle for the material shit in life, settle for as long as we keep smiling and keep laughing, and as long as this shit is not happening to our family, then it don't matter how many headlines we see. It don't matter even if it's like in the next city that's a couple of years away from us. We're going to dome it. We're going to live in this dome of the mind where we're only going to act when the fucking zombies literally knocking at our door. You know? The whole world has become a big Hollywood event. Well, it does feel like that, innit? And I don't want to sound pessimistic here because I'm not. I do. I think someone actually mentioned it in another stream. Don't red pill, and I misconstrued the comment because sometimes when I read it, because the way it's worded, I don't get fully where they're going with it. And sometimes I'm reacting to comments that, 3 or 4 comments up it would have explained. So sometimes I do get it wrong, but I get what they were saying now. Don't red pill. No, I'm glad I've red pilled. I'm glad that I'm at the situation I'm at personally. It's not the easiest, but it's a comfortable place to be at because knowledge is power into it ultimately. And even if you sit on that, I don't sit here and go, well, I'm powerful because I'm not. In some ways, it's a lot more inconvenient when you can slow things and break shit down. When you critique the slightest little thing, the slightest little word that's been used, when you can't even watch a TV program without then thinking of several negative and exploitive ways that they've used in that TV advert, when you can't even watch a fucking TV program with knowing that with predictive programming, with all kinds of other shit, that they're literally brainwashing people, and that's without the flicker rate of TVs. It's hard, but at the same time, me as an individual, there's an element of freedom that comes with that, and that's what I love. The fact that a little bit more risen, and the fact that you can notice that it's there, but still function on a normal level. To think of going back is probably unspeakable, if I'm going to be honest. I could not go back, and I would not want to go back. I hope someone had the message deleted. Oh no. Don't do kids. Well, I know. You know what? 2 kids in. Freaking hell. How much money? The stress. Wouldn't change it for the world. But you got to think of the world they're kind of marching into, innit? That's what kind of fucks me off. Don't want to buy into this where everything's great, because it ain't. I ain't going to teach them that. But at the same time, you've got to have as much fun in this as possible. But just be in tune, be astute, and treat people how you want to be treated yourself. Evil world. Well, Stanley, there's a lot of evil within it. The good thing is, not everyone buys into that, do they? And that's what you've got to, you know. You don't want to be, and I don't want to come across as pessimistic. Unfortunately, the evil people in this world, there is a lot that generates a high positions of power, or whether it's them high positions of power that exacerbate the evil that is within us all. You know, this corrupt level. You could go on and on about this shit, couldn't you? I'd like to think I personally wouldn't be like that. I'd like to think I've got it out for other people. You know, I wouldn't do that. If you've got that amount of money to sit with that in the account, you know. Honestly, I have a mate who's a proper dreamer. He's called Ingo. He's a great guy, but he's a dreamer. He's my age. But he often just keeps talking about when he wins the lottery, which he's only just started doing it again after so many years break, that he's going to spend all his lottery money on fucking buying houses that's going to then form a small estate of all of his best mates. And we're going to live perpetually on this Monday to Friday, let's have a party round at my house. Oh no, well, let's have a party round at my house. And I love his dreaming attitude. I hope it fucking pays off, because I'm ready for that shit. I prefer it not to be in this country. I prefer a bit of sun on my back, if I'm going to be honest, Ingo, if you do listen to this. So, yeah, somewhere nice and hot, really, preferably. Not too hot, though. A 24/7 bender. I'd probably last 3 months, if I'm going to be honest, Martin, if that was the case. As we all know, I can't even get through a 2-week holiday. So I'd start with all the vigour in the world. You do on your first night, don't you? You're buzzing, you can't wait to get there. And if you're anything like me, you wake up the next morning and it soon kind of lets you know where you're at. It grounds you. And a few days of that, you know, you're not intaking the right fruit, water, hydrating yourself. Yeah, you feel like shit. And you kind of look like it as well. But you still have a good time throughout it all. But anyway, guys, I didn't want this stream to go on too much. It's just reached the hour mark. So I'd like to say thanks, everyone, for jumping on. I hope you got something positive from it, even though good riddance to the guy overall. Good riddance to the guy overall. We've got to keep going, keep informing with brilliant people like this, Jason Burmers. Subscribe to people like this, because they're fantastic. They're not letting go, and they're very diligent in the way they cover. They go through files, they go through all the information and try and outlay it all to people. The truth maybe will come out. The light is shining, and as long as there's light, then it will always shine on the dark, won't it? So I'd like to say thank you to Great Brit. Thank you to everyone else who's jumped on the stream. And like someone's just said, match of the day, is it about to start, mate? Well, you better get yourself off. And up the United, yes, first game under the belt. Don't know how long it's going to last. And I don't normally go here on football, because it can end up slapping you back on the next game when we get twatted 7-0. So I'm not going to really boast too much, other than good win for the boys. Yes, thank you, Crafty Cocknet. And thank you to you guys. You know, we're all trying to mull ourselves through this. So I'm going to leave you with this. I love you all, even the pissy haters. God bless, guys. Have a pleasant evening and a good week.